How's it going, yo? This is Finn Bartel coming to you from nextlevelguitar.com. I wanted to show you some three-finger timing exercises. It seems like there's been a little bit of debate on the web recently about whether it's better to play bass with 2 fingers or 3 fingers. And I don't know, it's just my opinion. I don't feel like any one way is better than another. I feel like you do what you're most comfortable with and maybe have a couple different ways that you play that depends on the song, you know? I certainly don't think that it makes anybody really faster to add another finger in there, or I definitely don't think it makes you a better bass player to play with 3 fingers instead of 2 or 4 instead of 3. So, that's my opinion. I actually play with 3 fingers most of the time. That's just how I've always been comfortable. But sometimes I play with 2 fingers, depending on, I guess, if I just do it by instinct in the song, or if I feel like, you know, the song, you know, feels like 2-finger part right there. But when I do it, when I use 2 fingers, I use these 2 fingers instead of these 2. So probably, you know, most people would think that's really odd. But just like I said, really doesn't matter. I knew a guy who was fabulous on bass, amazing, right? And he played with a pick. So, I mean, I feel like the whole idea is really just to have fun and be able to do something that you're really passionate about. So it doesn't matter. Why criticize someone for using, you know, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, pick, 1 finger, whatever. Who cares, right? Anyway, I want to show you these exercises. They're for timing, right? I'm doing them with 3 fingers, but this is a great exercise to do whether you use 2 fingers or however you play, right? So that you can hear my foot tapping, I actually taped a putty knife with duct tape onto my foot and laid down a board right down there. So I hope that you're able to hear that. That's what it sounds like. Can't hear it, I apologize. But anyway, what I really like to do and what I think has really helped me a lot is for timing to do these exercises just tapping my foot and, you know, getting into a groove like that. Definitely it's necessary to play with a metronome or a drummer or, you know, click track on your computer or however you do that. But I feel like for me, it's helped me a lot to also be able to just, you know, keep that beat on my own, so you have that beat inside, and then, you know, when, you know, you get with the drummer, with metronome, whatever, you'll be able to flow and groove like nobody's business. So this is how I'm going to show you. Anyway, the first thing that I would like you to do is, since we're going to be using 3 fingers now, is think about the way that you're going to be using your fingers. Now, what I would like you to do is first use your ring finger, then your middle finger, and then your index finger. If this is the first time you ever play with 3 fingers, or first time you ever play in bass, you might need to think about it a little bit. But I think it's pretty normal though, because even if you just like scratch yourself or something like that, or however you're using these fingers, that's typically the succession that it goes in. It goes usually the ring finger, then middle finger, and then the pointer, and then back to your ring finger again. So that's what it looks like, just like that. So that's what I would like for you to try out. And what I want you to do is keep a nice, slow, steady beat with your foot, just like this. Maybe even slower than that. And what I want you to do is each time you are going to make a beat with your foot, right, a count, say, hit that bass note. And use any bass note you want. I'm going to use a C, because C is really the best note that there is. It's actually louder than any of the other notes. Like, seems a little bit boring at first probably, but you know, if you're just learning, that's pretty much probably how slow you should be doing it. And also, I forgot to say, if you want to count it, let's see, those would be like quarter notes, so you can just count 1, 2, 3, 4. After you're comfortable with that, we're going to switch to doing 2 notes per every beat of your foot. So that's going to look like, those are 1/8 notes, and that's going to sound like this. If you want to count that, you can say 1 and 2 and 3. So you see you're hitting twice with every count of the foot. You're hitting the note twice. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4, just like that. If you want to count it out. As I said, it'll kind of get to be second nature. Another thing about playing with 2 fingers and playing with 3 fingers, it does sound a little bit different because you're changing no matter what, your 2 fingers aren't going to sound exactly alike every time you hit that string. If you use 1 finger, then it will. If you're using 2 fingers, there's going to be a slight difference there, which is kind of cool. Because 3 fingers, you're throwing in another different sound actually there. So if you're playing 3 notes per count, then it's always, if you're using 3 fingers, the count's always going to start at on the same fingers. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. So it's a little interesting bit of how the timing works with your fingers. Something to think about, And also when you're playing, well, let's go on to the next one. So you got the 8th notes down. Now we're going to do a little triplety kind of feel here. So every time you hit your foot, every time you make a count with your foot, you're going to be playing 3 notes with your finger. So that's, if you want to count it, you can, let's see, you can count this a couple different ways. You could say 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So you see you're counting the count of your foot as that 1, and then there's 2, 3. Some people count it 1 and So you got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and doesn't matter, whatever you're comfortable with. And again, it'll probably get move my board that I'm kicking. It'll get just instinctive after a while. After you get done with that one, obviously what we're going to do is 4 notes per count on your foot. Now that's going to sound, if you want to count it off, it sounds a little weird. You count it off 1 E and so you get 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 2 E and 2 E and 3 E and just like that. And when you're doing the 4 per count, you could do it slower, faster, speed it up. A little bit faster would sound something like maybe. A really great thing to be able to do is when you're playing 1 per count, think about in your head, as you're playing, what is that going to sound like when I do 2 per count? And then bring it on. So that'll give you a really, sort of more advanced exercise to do to really tune in and be able to groove really well like that. So if you want to figure out what kind of notes these are that you're playing, as far as timing goes and rhythm, if you're hitting a note each time and only one time per when your foot or putty knife comes down, you're going to be playing, it's going to be like a quarter note. If you are making 2 notes every time you put your foot down, just like this, that's like an 8th note. And if you do 3, you're actually doing what most people will call a triplet. And if you're using 4 notes per beat, sorry. That's like a 16th note. Because you're using 4, you're hitting 4 notes. This is how you can think of it, remember it. You're hitting 4 notes, right? And there's usually, if you're in 4/4, there's going to be 4 beats of your foot per measure. So you get that 4 notes times, you're doing it 4 times is 16. So those are 16th notes. But anyway, mix it up. Do them faster and slower, and so really give you a good sense of timing. And certainly, play along with a metronome or a computer or a drummer or something like that as well.